out and replug it, which I probably should have done.
All right, we're here. We're ready to learn. We are chapter 23, verse 19.
Correct.
Yes.
Yay!
All right. Where are we here?
That's a mother's
Chapter
milk.
23, verse 9.
No, I know. So we're right after Passover. We just read about the 3 festivals, right?
Yeah.
Right, Passover, Shavuot, Sukkot. And then we had... Right, okay.
Not Passover.
Sorry, Chag HaMatzot. Yes, and then we had that one verse, didn't we?
Right.
18 is Passover, is Pesach.
Right.
Right. Thank you. Yes.
Now we have the other one-sentence verse.
No, this is 2. This is a juicy one, though. Lenore, you want to read it for us?
Yeah, sure. The choice first fruits, is that in your report of yours?
Yeah.
The choice first fruits of your soil you shall bring to the house of the Lord your God. You shall not boil a kid in its mother's milk. I followed that one to the other 2 references that it made here, and it's still not 100% clear to me. What I got out of that was only the thing that's in this description underneath of the notes, which says a kid in its mother's milk. This rule is stated twice more in the Torah. Exodus 34:26, which I went to, and Deuteronomy 14:21. In Deuteronomy, the prohibition appears in the context of the dietary laws, but the 2 sources in Exodus indicate that its origin lies in the overall context of the festivals. Many scholars, medieval and modern, follow the suggestion of Maimonides that this law prohibits a pagan rite, although no such rite is known. And one of the other explanations may have said that they didn't want, because the mother animal nurses the baby, it had something to do with the milk from the mother who's nursing the baby.
Lenore, you read that this is originally found in the context of the festivals, right?
You have Eitz Chaim, Rabbi, or not?
No.
I have it.
Okay. Okay.
Is that what you read?
Yeah, the 2
So
sources in Exodus
Yeah.
indicate that its origin lies in the overall context of the festivals.
I wonder why, though. It doesn't say that.
It doesn't tell you if you go to the other 2 either. I went to them and I didn't really quite. They just mentioned something about the fact that the mother, they didn't want the milk that the mother needs to nurse the animal.
Oh, okay. So I've got a long comment that I want to go back to, but from Rev Hirsch it says, blah, 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 blah. This higher duty is symbolized in the prohibition against mixing milk and meat. Its proximity to the laws of the festivals and the first fruits conveys the teaching that one who succumbs to his animal instincts destroys the holy nature of the seasons and God's blessings of prosperity.
Yeah, those 2 things are sort of thrown around in the other.
Lenore, I have in Sforno, you were saying you didn't understand, or they didn't give reason for reference to the idolaters, what they were doing with this. And what Sforno has to say is, you shall not boil a kid in its mother's milk. You shall not engage in such actions so as to increase your fruit, as was the way of idolaters.
Increase what?
Increase your fruit. I don't understand what that means, but as in the way of idolaters. So there's another reference, and this is a translation of the Hebrew in this verse. Lo tavashel. I can't read it. It's too
Lo tavashel gedi. Do not boil a kid. But you know what? I don't understand. So I get the connection to idolaters, and I see that a bunch also. But the connection to the festivals is what's interesting to me. Here's So the word translated boil really means ripen or grow to maturity. So the straightforward sense of this verse is, do not let a kid grow to maturity on its mother's milk,
Oh my gosh, that's
But-
another one.
but offer it to God when it is still young, like the first fruits at the beginning of the verse.
And yet there's another place in here somewhere that says that the first week the mother is nursing the calf or the baby.
Right, so
And
that's what it's saying. It's saying, so the connection that this makes is that you should, this is a Barbanel, that you should, the connection is that just as you bring the first fruits during the festivals, you should also bring a kid when it's young, when it's still drinking its mother's milk.
So-
Hold on. It goes on at the Mesta. I don't know what Mesta is. Oh, the twice yearly gathering of shepherds in Spain. Our investigations have determined that a kid in its mother's milk is considered the choicest of foods, and I have confirmed that the same is true in the island at the end of the world. I don't know what that is. Oh, England. So this is clearly meant. Isn't that funny? Barbanel says that England is the island at the end of the world. That's funny.
wow.
So this is clearly meant to warn against non-Jewish customs at the beginning feast of, at the pilgrimage feast of booths.
So
So
it all goes around the definition of the word boil and what really.
Well, for this commentary, it does.
All right. Let me see if I can go back here and see.
Right. The idiot. Listen to this. The idiot. This is Ibn Ezra. The idiotic Karaites relate the word gedi, kid, to megadim, choice fruits. So that's essentially what I just read. But that is impossible. And the word to vashal, boil, to vashal, ripe. If this verse, moreover, if this verse had something to do with ripening fruit, it would in its mother. What would in its mother's milk have to do with it? Boy, Ibn Ezra is going to town on a Barbanel here. They go to all that trouble to fit this part of the verse to the other part, the choice first fruits of your soil. But the reason of first fruits is when goats mature. Oh, sorry, but the season of first fruits is when goats mature. And haven't they read Deuteronomy 14:21? You should not eat anything that has died a natural death. You shall not boil a kid in its mother's milk. Where the context has to do with eating meat, I will explain that verse in its proper place. Rashi. The Ishmaelites of today are accustomed to cook a kid in milk, and they say that it is a delicious dish. Don't be surprised just because people in these parts don't eat the meat of a goat kid. For all the physicians admit that there is no meat like it, and they even let sick people eat it. It is eaten in Spain, Africa, Israel, Persia, and Babylonia, and was eaten in ancient times as well. We have no need to seek the reason that it is prohibited, for this is hidden even from those who understand. So that's do it because God said so. But perhaps God commanded us not to do it because.
So it's one of the chukim.
Right. But he says. So he says there's no reason to have there's no need to have a reason. Then he says, but perhaps God commanded us not to do it because it demonstrates a certain cruelty. The commandments, no animal from the herd or from the flock shall be slaughtered on the same day with its young, and do not take the mother together with her young, are similar. Just as it is clear that the Leviticus verse means you cannot eat them, though all it says is slaughtered, so too you cannot eat the kid in its mother's milk, even if it were not boiled.
Rabbi? Hello?
Yeah.
Okay, I actually, the other reference under Exodus here just refers you back to the original we read, but the one from, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Deuteronomy, the Deuteronomy one has another explanation here. The rule is let's see, you shall not boil kid in its mother's milk. This rule is listed with the food prohibitions because meat cooked in this way may not be eaten. Meat boiled in sour milk was probably regarded as a delicacy as it is by Arabs. The prohibition is similar to the rule against slaughtering cattle and their young on the same day, and the requirement that newborn cattle remain with their mothers at least 1 week before they are sacrificed to prevent acts of insensitivity against the animals.
Right, that's the commentary I just read. Correct.
That was
Eminent Rabbi, remind me of the chapter, please.
Hi, Alicia. We are chapter 23, verse 19 of Exodus. And we're talking about
Chapter
23
chapter 20.
19. And we're talking about Lo Tivashel Gedi B'Chalevimo. Do not boil a kid in its mother's milk.
Yeah.
So
Go ahead, Dina.
just to go back to something simple, because I want to come back to this, but it says the prohibition of cooking meat and milk together applies to all sheep and cattle, not only kid meat in the milk of its own mother. Rabbinic law extended the prohibition to all other kosher meat and fowl. The Torah gives this prohibition 3 times, from which the sages derive that there are 3 elements of the prohibition against the mixture of meat and milk. According to Rashi, it is forbidden to cook it, to eat it, and even to benefit from it.
So that means you can't work at McDonald's and serve cheeseburgers because if you get paid, you're benefiting from the mixture of meat and milk.
Right.
Wait a minute. Can I ask a question? Fowl being boiled in milk? Mother's milk?
No. It's the rabbis. The rabbis extended the prohibition of cooking milk and meat together to fowl, which is because you've got that whole group of Jews who believe that chicken is parv.
All right, so what you're saying then is this is not just about cooking meat in its mother's milk, but here we are moving to where the rabbis say simply, do not put any milk and fowl or meat together.
A mixture of meat and milk, right.
Ah.
I wouldn't go so far as to say there's a whole group of Jews who believe that you can have chicken parmesan.
But there are some.
Right, there's a small group.
Yeah.
Wasn't it? I want to say it was Rav Kook. I could be wrong about that. Let me look that up. I believe it was Rav Kook who said chicken. Wait a second. I was going to type in chicken parmesan, but fowl and
No, that would be autocorrect from parv.
Rav Kook. I want to say it was Rav Kook who said that.
It's actually a rabbi named Cook.
Let's see here. Rav, or it's aimed to stop eating meat. Here's something that Rav Kook says. Rav Kook was a vegetarian. I always get them mixed up. He was a vegetarian. So Rav Kook says he's trying to aim Jews and humanity towards the direction to stop eating meat. From this perspective, one reason why God commanded us not to eat meat and milk together is to create in our mindset a recognition between killing an animal and taking its milk. You cannot mix these two because morally they are very different. Therefore, it is understood why you cannot eat chicken and milk. This too is a killing of an animal and a theft, quote unquote, of the milk.
Theft?
Well, yeah, he talks about the theft of the dairy.
The Torah is the killing of what?
An animal, any animal.
Okay, I have a note from the second Exodus thing that says ancient heathens would cook meat in milk as a charm for success.
Alicia, I'm gonna mute you just so that we can hear a little better, okay?
You're gonna do what?
You muted yourself, David.
Oh, sorry. Alicia, I'm gonna mute you so that we can, because there's a lot of background noise. Go ahead, Dina.
It says the ancient heathens would cook meat in milk as a charm for success. Therefore, the Torah concludes with the command not to fall into that spurious trap.
Huh.
And the other reference was what, Deuteronomy? Let's see what I've got.
Yeah, that's what I just read, the Deuteronomy one.
Yeah, but I've got a different book. I wondered if there's
Different translation.
yeah. So Varim, what is it? 1421. 1421. No, I got nothing there. No, it just sends me back to the two Exodus ones.
So Rashi says that it's all animals, but Ibn Ezra says no. I think he says no. It's just a kid. Ibn Ezra says Rashi is incorrect that the phrase "a kid of the goat" shows that kid may refer to any young animal. So for Ibn Ezra, this is a very, very specific ruling. This is just a kid in its mother's milk.
So
would that have come from God?
Yeah, I mean, Gadi is a young goat. It's not a young animal, right?
Right. No. So that's what Ibn Ezra is saying. Rashi says no. This is symbolic, and it really refers to a young animal.
Okay. So Rav Hirsch suggests a reason for the prohibition and for its insertion in this passage. Meat represents the animal portion of life, the muscle and the sinew. Milk represents the reproductive capacity of animal life, for milk is the nourishment that supports new life. In animals, these two aspects of life are inseparable. Animals instinctively eat and reproduce. Man has a higher calling. He must not mingle these aspects of his nature. To the contrary, he must learn to differentiate between his activities and primarily to subjugate them all to his duty to grow in the service of God and to put godliness into all his activities. This higher duty is symbolized in the prohibition against mixing milk and meat. And then what I read before, its proximity to the laws of the festivals and the first fruits conveys the teaching that one who succumbs to his animal instincts destroys the holy nature of the seasons and God's blessings of prosperity.
Wow. That's nice.
Can I go back to this business of not boiling a kid in its mother's milk, which were followed by the idolaters to propitiate their gods in the hope of increasing their fruit, meaning they did it because they were giving older young animals, let's say, because this is Sforno, this is a note on Sforno, and he said not to boil the kid in the mother's milk, meaning for the boil. We were talking about definition of boil, because it meant the kid had grown a little older than that very beautiful young calf. So they were increasing what they were giving to their gods by using older calves. And that's what the idolaters did.
Wait. What do you mean? Why were they increasing by using older calves? Didn't we just read that the younger calf is the choicest?
It is, but here they're saying don't follow what the idolaters do, and they do this to propitiate their gods in the hope of increasing. In other words, giving more. So not only did they give the young, but they'll give a few older calves. Like here's more, dear God. And maybe they'll get better blessings, whatever.
No,
so don't follow that.
Isn't it the opposite? Isn't it saying don't give your choicest because that's more?
No. This is saying you're increasing your fruit. You're giving the fruits you're supposed to, and then you're going beyond by giving these older calves, you see, who are still boiled who are still drinking their mother's milk. They're older, but they're still taking their mother's milk. And the idolaters are increasing their blessings, they think, by giving even more fruits you know, they're not the first fruits, but they're sort of cheating a little bit. And I think this is saying, don't you do that.
Okay.
You give exactly what I've asked for. Because we didn't understand before what it meant that the idolaters propitiate their gods in the hope of increasing their fruit.
Right.
So I wonder if there's not something in that. I know that's not what you've all been just saying now from your...
Maybe. I don't know.
It's another avenue. I didn't think about that. What's going on?
We're all thinking.
Can we be heard in Africa now or not?
Yeah.
If Arisha has something to say, how are we going to know?
He can unmute himself. He can unmute himself. I can't unmute him. He can unmute himself.
Unmute yourself.
Yeah, Alicia, unmute yourself if you want to say something.
Maybe not here.
Each place is a career. Okay, I got nothing else. Should we keep going?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Lenore. Verse 20.
Wait a second, please. You want to do verse 20?
Yeah.
Okay. 20. I lost it. Hold on. I'm sorry, I changed the thing.
474.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, Alicia. Yeah.
Okay. I
I'm
was.
sorry, I lost the page. I have to.
Lenore, hold on a second, please.
I was wondering that in this world we have stubborn people, and we may find some Jewish people who are very stubborn, or like who are not halakhic, who don't follow laws, and you find some people eating pork. Some Jewish people, you find them eating pork. If you find a Jewish people eating, I'm just in case if it happens, you find a Jewish person eating pork with meat at the same time with milk. How do you consider that, Rabbi?
How do I what? How do
you consider that?
Well,
How do you consider it?
So first of all, I would say that most of my congregants probably eat meat and milk together or eat pork. I think the vast majority of liberal Jews in America eat pork or eat meat and milk together. So, it's not surprising at all. And, my personal belief is that we are all on our own spiritual and religious paths, and it's not my job to judge you. It's my job to teach what the Torah says and how the rabbis interpret that, and then empower you to make your own decisions for your own life. I don't think of halakha necessarily as law, as binding law, and I think the vast majority of Jews in America at least don't. In the Orthodox world, they do, but I think the vast majority of liberal Jews in America do not think about halakha as binding law. I think they think about it as moral lessons and things that perhaps we should strive for, but not necessarily something that we have to do.
Yeah.
What do you think, Dina?
I think, unfortunately, you're, if not right, close to right. And it is. I think it is unfortunate.
Why do you say it's unfortunate?
I think it's unfortunate that the majority of American non-Orthodox Jews see these as guidelines rather than as things that you should be doing.
But don't you?
Well, I'm in that in between place.
I know you are. That's why I'm pushing you.
I know. I know.
Because I'm there right with you.
Stop laughing, Alicia. And you too, Lenore. I don't know, but I know. You know,
I'm not kosher at home.
Well, I am. And I eat out, but I don't eat meat or shellfish out, and I certainly would never consider mixing milk and meat. But I know there's this whole concept of if you know the law, then you're bound to follow it, and obviously I'm not following all of the laws. So in a sense, yeah, I'm picking and choosing, but I don't know. For a lot of American Jews, do you think that it's not a case of picking and choosing which laws they're going to follow? For a lot of them, they don't even know, they're not even aware of the laws.
Well, I think that most American Jews probably know what Shabbat is. Do they know the specific laws of Shabbat? No. I would say that most American Jews know that keeping kosher means you don't eat pork. I think most people would know that.
Okay.
And yet many choose to eat pork. And the argument is not, I don't think, I don't think the argument is I don't believe in God or I don't believe in the Torah. I think the argument is this really isn't relevant to my relationship with God. What I put in my body does not impact my Jewish identity. It doesn't impact my ability to have a relationship with God, to connect.
You know.
Do you think they have a relationship with God?
Oh, sure. I think so. It may not be the same. Really, they may not define their relationship the same way that you do.
Oh, right. Okay.
Right, but I think that, and they may not even think of their relationship with God in Jewish terms. But I think to suggest that, and by the way, we do this all the time, to suggest that because somebody doesn't practice or nurture that relationship in Jewish ways, or what we define as Jewish ways, that means that they don't have a relationship with God. That's the argument about young people who don't come to shul, other than to drop their kids off. Us Altakakers look at them and we say they don't care. They do care. They care very deeply. They're driving the kids to Hebrew school twice a week, 3 times a week. They're not participating in the same way that you and I do, but that doesn't mean they don't care, and it doesn't mean they don't have a relationship with God. It just means they're exhibiting it differently. And because we can't generalize, of course, there are some people who don't. I mean, I don't want to make sweeping generalizations about anyone, any group. I spoke a couple months ago at a yoga studio. They held a program called I don't remember. It doesn't matter. It was me and a Muslim scholar and a Christian person, and we were on a panel talking about God and faith and religion, things like that. And this was a group of people, I'm sure of it, who never go to synagogue or church or a mosque. They just don't. They go to yoga. That's their religion. And these were some of the most deeply spiritual people I've ever met. I mean, this room was packed. It was in a little dive back behind a strip mall somewhere. There were 150 people packed into this room to hear this talk about God and faith and religion. We don't even get that many people to Shul Shabbos mornings.
I'm saying yes, yes, yes. I know that world.
So, and that makes it really difficult for us rabbis and ritual chairs and, religious leaders, because our job is to get people to buy into this whole halacha thing, this whole Jewish law thing, this whole come to synagogue thing, this whole join a synagogue thing. I mean, my entire career is built on the fact that people are going to show up and pay dues. And yet I'm serving a community that might not care about that. My job is to teach them about kashrut. And for many, many people, that is completely non-resonant.
Can I put 2 cents in here? I just want to say that we've heard the different, I mean, people use the terms, are you religious or are you observant? And I think that very often people consider themselves religious, and their observance, they do what they want. It's what they think they want to do. And it's sort of accepted underhandedly by everyone. You can't put a label and number the things that are considered observant or not, because a person will do them or not. Even in the Orthodox world, people do things on the side and sort of accepted that they're doing them, although they know it doesn't confirm, it doesn't fit to what's written down.
So that's true, Lenore, and I would add to that I struggle with that because, as you know, because you just read it, my latest post on the Times of Israel was all about a shared language and how you're right that even in the Orthodox world, different people define kashrut differently, right? So in the Orthodox world, there's oh God, Dina, what's it called? Glatt kosher. There's, the milk is, there are certain types of milk, I'm forgetting the name, mivushal, wine is called mivushal, right? There are extra levels of kashrut, and different Orthodox authorities will say, actually, you need to be at this level instead of this level. But I still believe that there are basic understandings that we have, like pork is not kosher, right? Everyone agrees with that. Everyone agrees with that. And
Sure.
I think that it's somewhat misleading to allow anyone to define kashrut or observance, as you said, however they want, because I think that knowing what we're talking about is important.
I understand that, but believe me, I mean, people who I know people from, who emigrated here from Europe. They were the grandparents' generation from me, and they were basically what we considered Orthodox, but there were many of them who, especially when they went out, they weren't in their home. They ate, well, like Dina's saying, they ate what they wanted to. Maybe they didn't eat pork. I'm quite sure they didn't eat pork. Pork was a no-no. But then when spare ribs became popular, there were those who did that as well. And the same thing with shellfish. I can't tell you, my grandparents were Orthodox. They were in their home, and they didn't usually go out to eat at all, basically not. But all of their children, the 8 living children, there was only one who remained as, well, I say, as observant as the parents. All the other 7, shellfish came into the picture, and spare ribs sometimes came into the picture.
So you know that I don't eat shellfish or spare ribs or any of those things, but let me give you a practical example. So I live in Montoya Circle, which is the most Orthodox part of Boca
Yes,
Raton.
I get it.
I mean, on both sides of my townhome, I have a Freda living over here who wears a shaitel. I know, isn't that great, Mom? I have a Freda living over here, but she's very young. She wears a shaitel. On this side, I have like a Chana Rivka Leah or something. I mean, I've got frumies all around me, right? So, and it turns out one of my best friends from high school lives 3 doors down.
The cousin I said was very religious. Out of all my cousins, their children live in that area.
Okay, so my friend Avi and his wife Sarah live 3 doors down. We went to their house for Shabbos lunch this past week, and as we were walking out, I said to them, "We would love to have you at our house." And I preface this by saying, "We will not take offense if you can't come," because they're very frum. We will not take, and I had to go through this whole shtickle about what kashrut means in my house, because we do keep kosher, but we do bring things into our don't have a vegetarian, and we check by ingredients until we found the way. I'm still here.
David, you froze.
I'm here.
Everybody froze.
Hello.
Okay.
Yeah, I hear you now.
Sorry.
You were explaining.
Yeah. So everyone making their own determination. I had to give a sermon on how I keep kosher to see whether or not he could come into my house and eat, and he still hasn't given me an answer. So I don't know if my sermon even worked, but I think that, so what you were describing, Lenore, is essentially what I did when I was a kid. You kept strictly kosher in your house, but you ate whatever you wanted out.
I still have friends who do.
Right. Or at home, you have 3 sets of dishes. You have milk, meat, dairy, and Chinese food. No, not Passover. That's separate. That's a 4th set of dishes.
Okay.
You have meat, dairy, and Chinese food for when you bring in Chinese, because you don't mix that with the other things. So, but at the end of the day, Alicia, I think that there are many, many Jews who don't keep kosher, and my personal feeling is that we judge everybody else far too much, and we need to stop judging and start embracing and being thankful for what they've chosen to do and encouraging them to do as much more as they feel comfortable doing.
Philosophically, the problem becomes the length of time from the Orthodox stance to a very liberal stance. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying, but I think the length of time that these things take to change are something that is hard to understand.
Well, you're suggesting that this is going to change. I don't think it's going to change. I mean,
it may not, but if it changes even by inches, I agree that I don't think it's all going to change. I don't. But I think there are many steps in the direction which will become everyday things in the future. I do.
Right. And I would argue that it shouldn't change. That there is enough wisdom in Torah that we don't need to redefine what keeping kosher means. We need to rediscover what it means to remember kashrut. Or to honor kashrut.
I have to interrupt for a minute. Is Rabbi David breaking up for you too?
No.
The movement of between the voice and the voice and emotions are.
There are definite pauses. He's breaking up for me.
No,
I'm doing that intentionally just to throw you off, Dina.
Yeah, well, it's working very well.
You caught that. I'll try and speak closer to the microphone.
What a kibitzer.
What a kibitzer. All right, let's do another verse. Let's do verse 20.
No, you know what? This starts a whole new section.
Uh-oh.
And do we want to split it up?
Okay, we can split it up if you want.
Yeah, and we can redo it again next time because you like to redo.
And I want to go faster.
That's not going to happen. That's a different class.
Hey, I learned that, and that's why I'm in this class.
Alicia, can I ask you a question?
Maybe I was the one who brought a long question which prolonged the conversation, the study.
Yeah,
Can I
It
ask
was
you?
a good question. It was
Alicia,
a good question. It makes sense.
Arisha, can I ask you a question?
Yes, please.
Hear it.
Hold on, Dina. In your community, do you follow the rabbinic laws of kashrut, or do you follow biblical laws of kashrut?
Both.
You follow both. Because my understanding is that in some African Jewish communities, because you had not received the Talmud, the rabbinic teachings, that originally at least, that it was just biblical law that was followed, not rabbinic law.
But Rabbi, in my community, we follow both the oral and written Torah.
You do both. Okay.
I
Yeah.
can only see Alicia's forehead.
Yeah, Dina, can I make a suggestion to us all? When we're not speaking, mute our microphone. When we want to speak, unmute them. That way we can hear, I think, Arisha and David a little better.
I wasn't hearing anybody. I just went out and came in again, so we'll see if that makes a difference.
Now I see you. I see you.
Lenore, I'm suggesting we mute our microphones
I heard
to
you.
let
And
others
I
speak.
can't mute mine. The buttons. I don't know if I can mute it.
I think it's the interruptions when someone's speaking that's driving the picture and the sound back and forth.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear
Yes,
you.
we can.
And then I don't think I can shut it down any lower.
If you put your cursor up at the top of your screen, do you see a little microphone?
No. Yeah, I do have a microphone. Here, look. This is. Can you hear me now?
Yes. If you click on the microphone, you may be able to mute it.
Here, let me just put it all the way down and shake your
That's
head.
your volume. No, that's not what I mean.
That's the volume, Lenore. That's the volume you hear us at.
Yeah, but okay. I can't. I don't think I have a way to do that unless
You don't see a microphone on your screen?
No. I totally admit that I'm very non-mechanical.
All right. Okay.
So, I'm sorry.
It's quite all right. Let's read the next verse, Dina, and then we'll come back to it.
Okay.
I
You
lost.
want Lenore to read it?
Yeah, Lenore, you want to read it?
All right. We're with 20?
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
Okay. I am sending an angel before you to guard you on the way and to bring you to the place that I have made ready.
Go ahead and read the next.
You're kidding me.
We're gonna go back. Don't worry, Dina.
Pay heed to him and obey him. Do not defy him, for he will not pardon your offenses, since my name is in him. My capitalized name, capitalized, is in him.
That's a very interesting. I've never seen that
That's
before.
very powerful.
That my name is in him. I've never heard that before.
So my name is capitalized, but in him is not.
Right. So my name is referring to God.
Right.
And him is the angel here.
Now there's a semicolon here, and then it goes on to 22. It's really part of the same sentence. Do you want me to...
Yeah, go ahead.
But if you obey him and do all that I say, I will be an enemy to your enemies and a foe to your foes.
So why is God sending an angel at this point?
Aha.
Aha. In fact, Abarvanel asked the question, why does God suddenly decide to remove God's personal providence from Israel, providing instead an angel to govern them?
Okay, I have a very long comment. Would you like to hear it?
Sure.
Okay.
Can you raise your voice a little, Dina? I actually can't hear you too well.
I'll raise your voice. Go ahead.
Is your volume turned up?
Yeah.
I just turned you up. Go ahead.
Okay. God alluded to the future sin of Israel in building the golden calf, as a result of which the people forfeited God's personal providential care. Even after they repented, God told Moses that he would withdraw his presence from them and send an angel to lead them to the land. That's from Rashi. There, Moses protested the decree and begged that God himself accompany the people, and God relented. Here, however, Moses accepted it because God did not convey the news to him as a punishment. Rather, in the context of our verse, it was presented as the triumphant manner of Israel's entity into Eretz Yisrael. That's from Be'er Basadeh.
Before you go on, can I just... that's an amazing comment. So this morning I was leading tefillah for a bunch of third graders, and they were really acting out. And there were two other teachers in there with me. And I don't like it when other teachers get in the way of what I'm doing, and they kept trying to shush and sort of reprimand the kids, and that's not how I would have handled it. I would not have gotten angry at them. I would have engaged their spielkies and used, I would have used their energy in a different way, and they were, just wanting them to sit quietly and shush. And when you read here that God, that Moses did not receive this as a punishment, but as the triumphant return, or whatever you said, that you made me think of that the way that you frame something can so often change the way people receive it. Even if it is a punishment, or even if you are saying to someone, you're being rude, please stop acting that way, you can frame it differently. It doesn't have to be a punishment. You made me think of this morning.
Ramban notes that this prophecy was not fulfilled in Moses' lifetime, for Moses pleaded with God not to withdraw from the people, and God acceded to his request. That's coming up in about 10 chapters. After Moses' death, however, an angel appeared to Joshua and identified himself as the head of Hashem's legion. That was the angel announced in this verse, who had been held in abeyance during Moses' lifetime, but was dispatched to lead Israel after his death. In an esoteric interpretation, Ramban and Or HaChaim comment that the angel spoken of in this verse was not the one that God announced after the sin of the golden calf. Rather, this was the highest of all angels, the one through whom God guided and protected the patriarchs, and the one upon whom God rests his name, the highest manifestation of his presence. Ibn Ezra too comments that this was an august angel that was to bring the nation into Eretz Yisrael while it was still in its lofty state, before the sin of the golden calf.
Wow, so many different perspectives on this.
Yeah.
About which angel it was. Huh.
So on the one hand, what I'm getting from these people is that God at this point wants to send an angel to kind of take his place. Moses accepts it, but then later on at the sin of the golden calf rejects it. Is that what I'm getting?
I don't know.
So that Hashem stays with them, fire by day, fire by night, cloud by day, fire by night, until they are in Eretz Yisrael, at which point God removes God's self from the picture and sends an angel to talk to Joshua.
Unless that happens here. Because the Hebrews, hine, here, or behold, ani sholeach, I am sending an angel before you. It doesn't say I will send. It says I am sending. So I'm not sure that this happens later on. It sounds like it's happening now.
I always learned hine was here and now.
Yeah, right. Listen to this. Chizkuni says that this is a messenger, a prophet, not a real angel. The messenger prophet referred to is Joshua. So this is actually, so according to Chizkuni, the person God's talking about is Joshua here.
Well, Rashi says different. Our rabbis have said that this is the angel Metatron.
Right.
Name is like the name of his master, in that the numerical value of Metratone equals that of Shaddai.
Right.
So who is he?
We don't know. And since we don't know, that's probably a good place to stop.
Oh!
So let's start there again next week. Hine ani sholeach. Let me put my marking in the right thing. Verse 20 is where we'll start next week. Incidentally,
Rabbi, I was off a minute. Where do we start next week?
Verse 20.
Verse 20?
Yes. And just so you know, I'm going to have... Sorry,
okay.
go ahead. I'm going to
okay.
in the future, I'm going to have to end really right at 1 o'clock because I have something starting at 1 o'clock. So just so you know, if I'm not sneaking out a couple minutes early because I'm bored. It's because I have another thing starting at 1 o'clock. So I will see you all next Tuesday.
Are you recording these for the
They're all on my YouTube channel.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
All right. Good to see everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.